The rain hit the warehouse roof like static. Inside, one lamp burned on Hyunwoo's desk. A ledger sat open next to a photograph. Amina, laughing at something outside the frame. 3 men stood by the door. Nobody sat down. Hyunwoo shut the ledger with one hand. "You made her disappearance look voluntary," he said. "A suitcase packed too neat. A note written too calm. Everybody in this building wanted to believe she just ran." One man near the door shifted his feet. Another looked at his shoes. "I taught her how to hide numbers," Hyunwoo said. "I know what her handwriting looks like when she's lying. That note was a lie." He stood. He didn't raise his voice once. "Somebody in this room helped her disappear," he said. "I'm going to find out who, before I decide what disappearing really means." Nobody answered. A chair creaked. Rain kept hitting the roof. "Before we dive in, are you watching by yourself or with someone? We'd love to know where you're watching from, so tell us your location in the comments." Welcome to Afro Korean Scope, where every story unfolds into an unforgettable experience. 6 weeks before that night, the office ran loud. Phones ringing. 2 men arguing over a shipment count. Amina sat with 3 ledgers spread across her desk, a pen behind her ear, not looking up when Choi and Park stopped in front of her. "That number's off," Choi said. "It's not off," Amina said. "You're reading March. This is April." She spun the ledger to face him. Choi leaned down, squinted, said nothing. "Right there," she said. "April 15th. You moved product on a day you told the boss you didn't." Park's jaw tightened. Choi opened his mouth, shut it again. Hyunwoo walked in with rain still on his shoulders. He glanced at the ledger, then at Choi. "She's right," he said. "Fix it." Choi nodded once and walked out. Park followed without a word. Hyunwoo looked at Amina. "You don't back down from anybody." "Don't need to," she said. "Numbers don't lie. People do." 3 years she'd worked for him by then. 3 years since he pulled her out of a corporate audit that had gone nowhere. 3 years of her deciding this life, dangerous as it was, gave her something no firm downtown ever offered. Respect without a footnote attached to it. And a habit that came with the job. She kept a small recorder in her bag most days, a leftover from her audit years, back when clients denied things they'd said to your face the week before. She never thought she'd need it for anything like this. The morning she vanished, her apartment door sat unlocked. Half her closet stood empty. A folded note waited on the kitchen counter. Yeju found it first. Standing there when Hyunwoo's driver pulled up, note already in his hand. "She left this," Yeju said. Hyunwoo read it twice. "I can't do this anymore. Don't look for me. I'm sorry." He turned the paper over like something might be hiding on the back. Nothing was. "She took money," Yeju said. 40,000 out of the operating account this week. I checked this morning." Hyunwoo folded the note into his coat pocket. 40,000. Whose account? "The Incheon Shipment Fund," Yeju said. "Money set aside for the next order." Hyunwoo looked at the closet, the missing suitcase, the bed made too perfectly. Everything sat exactly where a staged photograph would put it. "Pull her phone records," he said. "Find out who she talked to last." "Already on it," Yeju said. Hyunwoo stared out the window at the empty street. "She wouldn't run." Yeju didn't answer right away. "People surprise you, boss. Especially the ones you trust most." By the end of the week, the story had hardened into fact. Amina stole. Amina ran. Nobody said her name without adding "used to work here" right behind it. Hyunwoo let it stand in front of the crew. He needed them working, not asking questions about how clean the whole thing looked once anybody slowed down enough to study it. Alone at night, he pulled the real books, not the summary Yeju handed over, the originals only he and Amina touched. He found the 40,000. Traced it through 3 shell transfers, the last one landing in an account tied to a name he didn't recognize, a name that would matter a lot more in a few days than it did right now. He sat back, the screen glowing in the dark office. Someone had been moving money out of this organization long before that week, and whoever it was had gotten very good at not getting caught. Hyunwoo didn't sleep. 3 years of records covered his desk by morning, cross-checked against shipment logs, payroll, anything that could explain where the money kept going. The pattern ran back further than a week. Small transfers, always under the number that triggered a manual review, moving out every quarter like a schedule somebody had built on purpose. The unfamiliar name from the shell account showed up twice more, both times tied to a shipping company Yiju had personally signed off on using 2 years back. He opened Amina's private folder, buried 3 drives deep, locked with a password only the two of them shared. Spreadsheets he'd never seen. Dates. Amounts. Screenshots of wire confirmations. She hadn't been stealing. She'd been tracking. The last file was dated 2 months before she disappeared. Found another transfer. Same pattern. Same structure. Need more before I go to him. If I'm wrong about who this is, I lose everything. Hyunwoo read it 3 times. His hand stopped moving on the mouse. She hadn't run with anything. She'd found the person taking it and built a case alone, scared of pointing at the wrong man in an organization where a wrong accusation could get her killed either way. 2 months before she vanished, Amina sat at her kitchen table at 2 in the morning, laptop open, tea gone cold beside her. A transfer didn't match a meeting log. Someone had logged an expense for a meeting that never happened. Her phone rang. She let it ring twice. "You're up late," Yiju said, easy, almost warm. "Working." "On what?" "End of quarter stuff. Go to bed. Boss doesn't pay you enough to lose sleep over a spreadsheet." She gave a short laugh. He hung up first. She held the phone a second longer than she needed to. His name sat under one of the flagged transfers, not directly, buried behind an approval code only someone at his level could generate. She closed the laptop, pulled an old cassette case off her shelf, one that used to be her mother's, empty of tape. She slid a small drive inside and set it back exactly where it had been. She didn't go to Hyunwoo yet. Not against a man who'd been in this organization since before she finished college. She needed more. The next week, she started carrying her old recorder again, dropping it in her bag out of habit more than plan. She didn't expect to use it. She just didn't like walking into meetings unprotected anymore. She got the chance to use it sooner than she wanted. Yiju called her into his office to go over the quarterly numbers, and partway through, he brought up a transfer she'd flagged in her own private notes, one she'd never shown anyone. "You've been busy," he said, flipping a page slowly. "Digging into things that don't concern you." She kept her face flat. "I don't know what you mean." "I think you do." He set the page down. "Whatever you think you found, you didn't find anything. You understand me? Keep digging, and it won't be your job on the line. It'll be you." Her bag sat on the chair beside her, recorder running the whole time. She left his office without saying another word and didn't breathe right until she was 2 blocks away. 3 weeks later, walking home, a man she didn't recognize fell into step beside her, close enough that she could smell cigarettes on his jacket. "Somebody wants to make sure you heard him the first time," the man said. "I heard him," she said. "Good. Keep it that way." He peeled off at the next corner without looking back. She kept walking, faster than before, straight home, straight to the cassette case on her shelf. She added the recording that night, sealed the drive back inside, and didn't sleep more than 2 hours. In the present, Hyunwoo closed the file. He thought about the day he found her, sharp and unshaken in front of men twice her age who'd underestimated her on sight. He thought about the version of her the crew believed now thief, runner, a woman who packed a bag and vanished with money that was never hers. He pulled an old photo from the drawer. Him, Amina, Yiju, at a dinner 2 years back, all 3 laughing at something none of them would remember. Yiju's arm sat around his shoulder, the closest thing to family Hyunwoo had let himself have since taking over at 29. He set the photo down and picked up the folded note. "I can't do this anymore. Don't look for me. I'm sorry." Something about the second line sat wrong. Amina didn't apologize for things she didn't do. He pulled an old birthday card from his safe, her handwriting loose and sure across the front. He laid it beside the note. The letters didn't match. Close enough to fool a glance. Not close enough to fool him. He looked closer at the pen strokes, heavier at the start of each letter, like someone tracing rather than writing naturally. Somebody had copied her handwriting from a sample, slow and careful, the way a forger works and not the way a person writes when they mean what they're saying. Somebody else wrote that note. And they'd taken their time doing it. Hyunwoo needed somebody Yeju never bothered looking at twice. He found him in the garage at 11 at night, wiping down a car. Minjun. New. Quiet. Barely acknowledged by anyone above him. You drove Amina the week she disappeared, Hyunwoo said. Minjun set the rag down. Twice. Once to the office, once to a supplier meeting. She act different? Say anything. Asked me not to log the second trip. Said it was personal. I didn't push. Where'd you take her? Storage place off Route 9. She went in maybe 20 minutes. Never said why. You never told anyone this. Not even when everybody started saying she ran. Minjun looked at the floor for a second. I thought about it. But Yeju's the one who takes the driver reports. I wasn't about to hand him something that made me look like I helped her hide things, not when everybody already had their story straight. I figured I'd wait until somebody asked the right question instead of the easy one. Hyunwoo studied him. And she covered for you before. Clipped a car once. Didn't want it coming out of my pay. She logged it as a parts replacement instead of an accident. Never told anybody. Figured I owed her the same kind of quiet. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. You still owe her. Keep this between us. The storage facility sat behind a gas station, the kind of place nobody looked at twice. Hyunwoo and Minjun walked the row until they matched the access code from Amina's files. Inside was a fireproof box. Files. Screenshots. The old cassette case, drive still taped inside it. A second, smaller recorder Hyunwoo didn't recognize, its memory card full. He pressed play. Yeju's voice came through first from the office recording. Whatever you think you found, you didn't find anything. You understand me? Keep digging and it won't be your job on the line. It'll be you. Then a second voice, rougher, a stranger's. Somebody wants to make sure you heard him the first time. Hyunwoo sat back on his heels. 2 threats. 2 voices. One from the man who signed his checks, one from someone Yeju sent to make sure it stuck. He didn't do it alone, Hyunwoo said. He's got people outside this building too. He packed everything into a duffel bag, careful, the same way he handled everything that mattered. Tucked inside a folder near the bottom sat a single printed page instructions, in Amina's handwriting, addressed to no one and everyone. If anything happens to me, this goes to a lawyer downtown, not the police. His name and number are on the back. Hyunwoo turned it over. A name he didn't know. A failsafe she'd built outside the organization entirely, in case nobody inside ever found this box at all. Yeju's trouble started 3 years earlier. A bad investment outside the organization, a debt to men who didn't extend patience the way Hyunwoo did. He'd skimmed a little to cover it, told himself it was temporary. Then the debt grew. The skimming became something he couldn't walk back without confessing to a boss half his age, confession that meant losing 15 years of loyalty, respect, the closest thing to family a man like him had left. He wasn't going to let a 29-year-old accountant undo 15 years in a matter of weeks. He warned her once, in his office, the recorder running without his knowledge. When the warning didn't work, when his hired man reported back that she'd gone straight home instead of straight to Hyunwoo, Yeju decided that meant she was still building something, not backing off. That was what tipped it, the reported silence, not obedience. The night she vanished, 2 men grabbed Amina outside her building before she reached her car. She didn't go easy. One of them carried the mark on his jaw 3 days later, but 2 against 1 in an empty garage wasn't a fight she was going to win. They staged the apartment after. Packed a bag with clothes chosen, not grabbed. One of the men had studied a sample of her handwriting from an old grocery list stuck to her fridge, tracing the note out twice before he got it close enough. Yeju gave the order from a distance. He never touched her himself. That kind of distance was something he'd learned to keep a long time ago. She was moved outside the city, to a property owned through a name 3 steps removed from anyone in the organization. Kept there. Not killed yet. Yeju needed to know exactly how much she'd already given up before deciding what came next. In the present, Hyunwoo sat in his car outside the storage lot, the duffel bag on the passenger seat. Minjun waited by the driver's door. You know what this means, Hyunwoo said. I know who it points to. Say his name. Minjun hesitated. Yeju. Hyunwoo nodded once. He didn't look angry. He looked like a man running numbers, the same way he'd run every ledger for a week straight. Find her, he said. Before anything else. If he finds out I know before we find her, we might not get there in time. Minjun got in the car. Hyunwoo pulled out slow, the same restraint he always carried, even now. If you're feeling the tension building, hit that like button, drop a comment letting us know who you think is really behind this, and make sure you're subscribed to Afro Korean Scope so you don't miss what happens next. Yeju noticed the questions first. Small things. Hyunwoo asking about phone records 3 weeks after everyone agreed to stop. Hyunwoo pulling financial reports directly instead of waiting on Yeju's summary. He said nothing about it out loud. He called the 2 men who'd grabbed Amina instead. Move her, he said. Tonight. Move her where? Further out. And check the security on the place. Anyone gets close, you know what to do. He hung up before they could ask what that meant exactly. He didn't want to say it out loud, even to men who already understood. He sat at his desk afterward, watching the door like it might open any second with Hyunwoo standing on the other side. 15 years he'd built this. 15 years standing beside a man half his age, swallowing the sting of answering to somebody he used to watch grow up, back when Hyunwoo's father still ran things. He wasn't losing all of it to a woman who should have minded her own job. Hyunwoo worked fast once he had the location. Minjun drove past the property twice, slow, cataloging the layout, one entrance off the main road, a fence around the perimeter, a motion light over the side door that clicked on when a stray dog wandered too close. 3 guys inside, maybe 4, Minjun said. Saw a shift change 20 minutes ago. There's a camera bolted over the front door. Feed probably runs to a phone, not a monitored station. We go tonight, Hyunwoo said. Before he decides to move her again. You want backup? Just you, Hyunwoo said. Fewer people who know, safer she is, until I know who else he's got in his pocket. They parked half a mile down and cut through the tree line along the fence. Minjun clipped the camera wire on the way past, quick, low, careful not to trigger the motion light. Hyunwoo carried a flashlight and the duffel bag from the trunk. Minjun carried the only gun between them. Inside, Amina sat on a mattress in a back room, wrists zip-tied, a single bulb overhead. 10 days in, and her wrists had gone raw where the ties dug in every time she shifted. She'd stopped eating most of what they brought her after the second day, once she noticed the same man handling both her food and the lock on her door. She'd counted the guards' footsteps enough times to know their rotation, 1 near the entrance, 1 in the kitchen, a 3rd who came and went at odd hours, and now a 4th she hadn't placed yet, someone new since the move. She'd stopped asking questions after the first 2 days. Nobody answered, and every question just gave them something to laugh about. One night she heard them arguing outside her door about how long they were supposed to keep her breathing, and she didn't sleep at all after that. Instead, she watched. Listened. Learned which floorboard creaked outside her door, which hallway window didn't latch all the way, how long it took the nearest guard to fall asleep. A car passed outside, slowed, then kept going. She sat up straighter, ignoring the ache in her wrists. The first guard didn't hear Minjun until it didn't matter anymore. Hyunwoo moved past him into the house, while Minjun shut the door behind them, quiet, no gunfire, nothing to alert whoever else was inside. A second guard rounded the corner from the kitchen. Hyunwoo hit him before he could raise his voice, driving him back into the counter hard enough to end it there. A third came out of a side room, already reaching for his belt. Minjun was faster, closing the gap and putting him down before his hand finished moving, but the impact knocked a lamp off a side table, and it hit the floor loud enough to carry. Footsteps came fast from upstairs. The 4th guard, the one they hadn't placed, appeared at the top of the stairs with a gun already raised. He fired once before Minjun pulled Hyunwoo back behind the door frame, the shot splitting within an inch from Hyunwoo's shoulder. Minjun returned fire twice. The man on the stairs went down hard, tumbling the last few steps. Hyunwoo didn't move for a second, checking his own arm out of instinct before realizing the shot had missed clean. You good? Minjun asked. Fine, Hyunwoo said. Find her. Now, before anyone outside heard that. He checked each door down the hall until he reached the one with light leaking under the frame. He opened it. Amina sat there, wrists raw and bound, eyes locking onto him the instant the door swung. She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She looked at him like she'd been waiting for exactly this. "Took you long enough," she said, voice thinner than he remembered it. He crossed the room, cut the ties with a knife from his pocket. Her wrists came free red and swollen. "Had to make sure I wasn't walking into a trap set by the wrong man." "You found out," she said. "Not a question." "Found your files." "The storage unit." "Both recorders." She rubbed her wrists, standing up, wincing. "There's more." "The lawyer downtown." "Did you find that page?" "I did," he said. "You built a second door out of this, in case nobody ever found the first." "Had to," she said. "Didn't know if you'd be the one to find that box, or if it'd be him." They moved fast, getting her out, stepping past the man still groaning near the stairs. Minjun pulled the car around while Hyunwoo walked her down the driveway, her steps slower than usual, one hand braced against the porch rail before she straightened up and kept going on her own. "You didn't run," Hyunwoo said, once they were in the car. "Even after he threatened you twice." "Running doesn't fix anything," she said. "It just makes you look guilty while the real thief keeps working." He looked at her a long moment before turning back to the road. "I almost let the story stand. The one where you stole from me." "I know," she said. "I'd have believed it too, in your seat. It was built to make me look exactly that guilty. Down to the handwriting." "Not anymore," he said. She held her wrists in her lap the whole ride, careful, like moving them too fast might start the ache up again. Yiju's phone rang a little after 2 in the morning. He answered on the second ring, already awake, already sensing something had gone wrong hours before the call confirmed it. "She's gone," the voice said. "3 of ours are down. Somebody hit the house." Yiju sat up slowly. "Down how bad?" "One's not moving. The other 2 are hurt but breathing. Whoever came in knew exactly where to go." He hung up without a word. He sat in the dark a long moment, watching 15 years collapse in the space of one phone call. He got dressed. He didn't need to guess who'd found her. Hyunwoo didn't go home that night. He took Amina to a safe house 2 towns over, one only 3 people in the organization knew about, Minjun being one of them now. A doctor Hyunwoo trusted came by within the hour to wrap her wrists and check the rest of her over, quiet. No questions asked beyond what he needed to treat her. Once the doctor left, she sat at a small kitchen table while Hyunwoo made coffee neither of them would finish. She kept her wrapped wrists in her lap, watching him move around the kitchen like he needed something to do with his hands. "You could have believed the story," she said. "Everyone else did." "The numbers didn't add up," he said. "You taught me to read them that closely. I just used what you gave me." She almost smiled. "Guess I did my job too well." He set 2 cups down, sat across from her. "Why didn't you come to me? First transfer you found." "Wasn't sure yet," she said. And accusing anybody at his level, without proof, in this world, doesn't end well for the one making the accusation. Even if she's right. "So I built 2 ways out. One if you found the box. One if you didn't." "The lawyer. He gets a letter every 30 days telling him not to open the file yet," she said. "If I ever missed a check-in, he was told to hand everything to a reporter, not the police." Yiju's name would have come out with or without me standing here. Hyunwoo sat with that a second. "So even if we hadn't come tonight." "He was already finished," she said. "He just didn't know it yet." By morning, word had reached 3 more people that something happened overnight, though nobody could say exactly what. Choi called Yiju twice, got nothing both times. Park drove past his building and found the car gone from its usual spot. Yiju sat in a rented room across town, laptop open, moving what money he could reach into accounts that wouldn't trace easily. His hands worked faster than they had in years. He knew Hyunwoo would come. He just didn't know when, and not knowing sat worse than any threat spoken out loud. He thought about running completely, disappearing the way he'd tried to make her disappear. 15 years in this organization taught him one thing above everything else: there was nowhere far enough that Hyunwoo wouldn't reach if he decided to look. And now there was a lawyer downtown holding a file with his name on it, one he had no way of reaching before the next 30 days ran out. Hyunwoo called a meeting for that evening. Every senior member, no exceptions, no explanation given ahead of time. Choi and Park showed up first, uneasy, unsure what the gathering was about. 2 more men arrived after, then a third, filling out the same room where Hyunwoo once accepted the story that Amina ran. Yeju arrived last. He walked in like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't spent the whole day moving money and calculating exits. He took his usual seat near Hyunwoo's right hand, the seat he'd held 15 years. Hyunwoo stood at the head of the table, a folder closed in front of him, the duffel bag resting on a chair beside it. "Something's been bothering me for weeks," Hyunwoo said, looking around the room before letting his eyes settle, finally, on Yeju. The room went still. Choi glanced at Park. Park didn't move at all. "About the day Amina disappeared," Hyunwoo said. Yeju's face didn't change outwardly, but his hand on the table went rigid. Hyunwoo opened the folder. He laid the first page flat, a printout of wire transfers, years of them, dates highlighted in red, the Shell account traced all the way to a shipping company Yeju had signed off on 2 years back. "These go back 3 years," he said. 40,000 out of the Incheon fund is the least of it. This is the real number. He set a second page down. 6 figures circled. Nobody spoke. Choi leaned forward, reading it upside down from where he sat, his face changing when he got to the total. "Whoever did this was careful," Hyunwoo said. "Patient. Knew exactly how the books worked, knew exactly what would and wouldn't trigger a flag." He set the first recorder down next, pressed play before anyone could ask what it was. "Whatever you think you found, you didn't find anything. Understand me? Keep digging and it won't be your job on the line. It'll be you." The voice filled the room. Low. Clear. Unmistakably Yeju's. Choi's head turned slowly toward him. Park's jaw tightened. Nobody said a word. Hyunwoo pressed a second recorder. A rougher voice this time. "Somebody wants to make sure you heard him the first time. He didn't even do his own dirty work," Hyunwoo said. "He sent somebody else to finish the sentence." Yeju sat perfectly still, both hands flat on the table, holding himself down by force. "That's out of context," he said, voice even. "You don't know what any of that's about." "I know exactly what it's about," Hyunwoo said. "Because the woman you threatened is alive. And there's a lawyer downtown holding a file with your name in it that goes public in less than 30 days, whether you're standing in this room or not." The room shifted. Choi sat back. A younger man near the door straightened up like he expected something to happen right then. Yeju's eyes moved to the door, then back to Hyunwoo, calculating the way he'd calculated everything for 15 years. "She stole from this organization," Yeju said, louder now. "I was protecting what we built. What your father built." "She didn't steal anything," Hyunwoo said. "You did. For 3 years. And when she found out, you didn't come to me. You had her taken instead, and you had somebody trace her handwriting off a grocery list to fake a note." He walked around the table, stopped directly across from Yeju. "You made her disappearance look voluntary," Hyunwoo said. "A suitcase packed too neat. A note written too calm. You almost had me believing it too." Yeju's hands curled into fists. "You have no idea what I've carried for this family. 15 years. 15 years standing beside you, beside your father before you, and you'd throw all of it away for her." The door at the back of the room opened. Amina walked in, wrists still bandaged under her sleeves, steady on her feet despite everything, the same way she'd walked into every meeting for 3 years. The room went silent watching her cross the floor. Yeju's face changed for the first time, not fear exactly, closer to the moment every option runs out at once. "You're supposed to be gone," he said, quiet, almost to himself. "I know," Amina said. "That was the plan, wasn't it?" She stopped beside Hyunwoo. "The lawyer's name is Warren Locke," she said, loud enough for the room. "Downtown, 3rd floor above the pharmacy. He's had a file on you for 2 months, updated every time I found something new. You can go find him yourself if you don't believe me. He won't hand it over early, but he'll confirm it exists." Yeju's eyes moved around the room. Choi, Park, the men who'd followed him for years without question. Nobody moved to help him. Nobody said his name with any loyalty left in it. "You made a mistake," Hyunwoo said, thinking she'd disappear quietly. She doesn't do anything quietly, and she doesn't leave just one copy of anything. Two of Hyunwoo's men stepped forward and took hold of Yeju's arms before he could stand fully. He didn't fight it. 15 years of discipline kept him still, even now, even with everything collapsing at once. Wait, Yeju said, looking directly at Hyunwoo. You're really doing this? Over her. I'm doing this because of you, Hyunwoo said. She just made sure I found out in time. And made sure it didn't matter even if I hadn't. They walked him out. Nobody spoke until the door closed. Choi exhaled long and slow. Park rubbed a hand over his face like he'd aged 5 years in 5 minutes. Amina stood beside Hyunwoo, watching the door. You okay? He asked, quiet enough that only she could hear. Getting there, she said. 10 days in a room with a bulb that never turned off does something to you. I'll be all right. Just not tonight. It's over, he said. He's done. You made sure of that, weeks before I even knew what I was looking for. She nodded, rubbing at the bandage on her wrist without noticing she was doing it. Later that night, Hyunwoo stood alone in his office, the photograph of Amina no longer needed on the desk because she was 3 floors down alive, giving a statement to Minjun about the property and the 4th guard nobody had accounted for. He picked up the folded note, the fake one, the one that started this entire nightmare. He read it one final time. I can't do this anymore. Don't look for me. I'm sorry. He held it over the trash bin beside his desk and let it drop. Wrong, he said quietly, to no one. She never once ran from anything. He turned off the desk lamp and walked out, leaving the office dark behind him, the case finally, fully closed. If you're still with us, this is the moment to hit that like button, drop a comment about what part hit you hardest, and subscribe to Afro Korean Scope, because the story isn't quite done yet. 3 weeks later, Amina sat back at her old desk, ledgers open, the bandages gone from her wrists, faint marks still visible when her sleeves rode up. The office ran loud again with the same ordinary noise it had before any of this happened. Choi walked past without meeting her eyes. Park nodded once, quick, and kept moving. She didn't need their apology. She had the one thing that mattered, her name, clean, back where it belonged in the only records that counted. And the 40,000 from the Incheon fund, recovered in full once Hyunwoo unwound the last shell account and forced the transfer back through channels Yeju could no longer touch. Hyunwoo came by her desk near the end of the day, coat already on. You're staying, he said. Not quite a question. Somebody's got to keep these books honest, she said. Might as well be the one who already proved she can. He almost smiled. Fair. She looked up at him. You trusted him 15 years. You trusted me 3 months into finding out I was right. That mean anything to you? It means I learned something, he said. Trust isn't about how long. It's about who's still standing next to the truth when everything else falls apart. She held his eyes a second longer than either of them needed to, then went back to the ledger in front of her. Yeju sat in a room with no windows, 3 floors below the warehouse, waiting for whatever came next. He didn't ask when it would happen. He'd stopped asking anything the moment the door closed behind him. 15 years taught him that some questions don't get answered, they just get decided. Warren Locke's file went public 2 weeks after that, exactly on schedule, because nobody had called to stop it. Choi read about it in a business section nobody in the organization usually bothered with, a short piece about irregular accounting at a shipping firm 2 steps removed from anything traceable back to Hyunwoo. Close enough to confirm everything Amina had said. Far enough to keep the organization's name out of it entirely. Late that evening, Hyunwoo walked out to his car, and Amina was already leaning against it, waiting, arms crossed, the same posture she'd held the day she caught Choi's mistake in front of the whole office. You following me now? He asked. Somebody's got to make sure the boss doesn't get careless, she said. You almost believed a story that would have buried the truth forever. I know, he said. Won't happen again. Good, she said. Because next time, I might not have a lawyer on retainer and 2 recorders to save both of us. He opened the car door for her, something he hadn't done for anyone in years. She got in without comment, like it was simply owed to her now, earned the hard way, the same way everything in this organization got earned. As he pulled out into the street, The warehouse lights faded behind them in the mirror, the same building where it all started, where a threat spoken over a closed ledger had turned into a promise kept. Nobody said her name with a footnote after it anymore. That was enough, for now, for both of them. That's the story. If it had you hooked from the very first second, smash that like button, drop a comment telling us what part hit you the hardest, and make sure you're subscribed to Afro Korean Scope, because the next unforgettable story is already on its way.